All right, so I'm calling, this is the October 9 meeting of the Wolcott Town Forest Stewardship Committee. Calling meeting to order at 6:08. And our first item of business is amendments to the agenda. There's a few things that circulated by email before the meeting. I see they're all listed on the agenda. The Rogers written up, but Dave, you said you had a few other things you would want to add. You want to tell us what the things are? You don't have to go into all the detail, just what the headline is.
Okay, one issue is right away.
Okay.
The second issue is the town has authorized the fire department to do safety training for the potential of bike accidents on our trails. That's going to take place Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. I'll describe it later.
Okay. Cool. All right. That sounds like fun. Any other amendments to the agenda? Okay. Next item of business is approving the minutes from the last two meetings. I've looked them over a minute ago, and they align with my recollection. Anybody else have any comments on the minutes? Anybody care to make a motion?
Minutes.
Okay. There's only four of us. I don't think we need a second. So, motion on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. All right. Next item of business is public comment. Discussing right away is added to the agenda for Dave. So, anything else you want to say? That's put you on the spot.
No, I came mostly because in the acquisition of Tony's property and this, I'm feeling a little squished. I thought
We got your half surrounded.
Jack's been extremely helpful. And I'm just trying to get down to the bottom of the right of way because it took myself by surprise. And it also, I think the Furlans were surprised by it as well. I did send information to Jack that I had found that the Furlans had passed along. I don't know whether I'm looking to get rid of the right of way, but I would like to know or have some understanding as to what the future use of it is, because it's described as a 50-foot right of way. I've got a building that is, I think, 20 feet off of the right of way now that's been put up. And if that's cleared, I'm going to have full view of his place. And I've been trying to ignore him. So it is a little concerning for that purpose. And also, I don't know whether they're thinking of car traffic or walking or what the final use of it is. And from the documentation I found, I'm not even convinced that it's correct, but it may have been overlooked in the past and is now legal. So,
Okay.
If I could add a little bit to it. I met with Trevor probably a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
We spent quite a bit of time together. He had laid out all of the documents that deal with the right of way, including some. Well, let me start over again. I had a conversation with Kate Warner and Hayden about Trevor's concerns.
Mm-hmm.
They sent me a number of documents that they thought from their research proved the existence of the right of way.
Mm-hmm.
I then met with Trevor. He has some additional documents that TPL did not have.
Mm-hmm.
I have shared Trevor's concerns with TPL and provided them with these other documents. I've not gotten a response back from them yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure we will at some point. That's really all I can tell you. it's not, the right-of-way issue is not a land trust issue.
Mhm.
It's outside of the conserved property, and Trevor's aware of this, but he's a neighbor
Mhm.
to the town forest, and if he has a concern, I'm interested in helping him solve that.
Mhm.
It's really an issue with the town. The town owns the right of way, and if there were errors made, they should be corrected. If there were no errors made, then the right of way is there.
Mhm.
And I think it's right for Trevor to ask, what is the town's intent for the right? Is that something you're going to be using? And, as I understand it, it's pretty well overgrown. It's not an existing
There's not even,
clearing
you're gonna have to blow
through there.
blow through.
So
Yeah.
the town would probably have to go to some
Reestablish it,
expense
yeah.
to reestablish it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the funny thing is to say reestablish, the way the right of way is drawn by them, it blows right through a rock wall, which I think predates most of what those drawings show. Um, I still think there's a mistake somewhere down the line, and whether I don't know.
Yeah.
You also have the issue of, Tom did a bunch of research, Tom Martin did a bunch of research on this and couldn't find any proof to it. He also can't get up the right of way, which is, that driveway is supposed to be kept, I think, for the fire department at a certain level.
Mhm.
And Tom comes up my driveway to talk to him because he can't get up the neighbors. Anyway,
Yeah, okay, so that would be a separate issue, I think.
yes, that's not a concern of mine.
Well, I'll tell you what, what I'm hearing, maybe jumping to a conclusion to some degree, but just, things I'm thinking about. So number one, TPL's interest is going to be ensuring that, that they're on record as having done their due diligence and that, they told us there was a right of way. And so they're, if they're anxious to prove the existence of the right of way, I certainly understand why they would be so. Speaking for myself as a resident and speaking as the chair of the forest committee, I would say that the number one concern is working well with our neighbors. And I guess parallel number one concern is making sure that we can do the forest management activities and recreational activities and so on that we want to do on the property. But we've got a lot of property to work with.
Mhm.
And I think certainly from where I sit, number one concern is going to be making sure that we continue to have good relationships with you and anybody else who's an adjoining property owner. And so, I want to just start from that point that I'm absolutely interested in working collaboratively and making sure that we're however we go forward, that we're finding something that's going to be not just acceptable, but actually keeps us on footing as good neighbors throughout the process. So
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you're bringing it up, and I hope we'll get to the bottom, figure out definitively what as definitively as we can. Maybe there's ambiguities, but if we can definitively figure out what the legal status is, then it still leaves open the question of what do we want to do with the right of way. Well, what we want to do with it is one of the goals is going to be making sure that we're continuing to have good relationships with people, with our adjoining landowners. So, even if the right of way, however it comes through, we're speaking as the committee chair, we're not interested in coming and disrupting your views. And that's okay. We definitely want to work with you on whatever we want to do. And at this point, I would say we have, we don't have plans for it. So, it's pretty time to talk through.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say that I've been in favor of the town forest to start it. Gave Dave access to my property to go look at the brown wolves, been up there. I have no problem with it. I think it's a great thing. I just, I'm sensitive when it gets that close.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, so it's, I don't know if we'll get to the bottom of it tonight, but, you know, that's where we stand from my perspective.
So if there is a finding from
EPO.
thank you. How would you suggest that I go about this? Should I continue to come to these meetings? Because I did reach out to both Mike Perry and Tom Martin and didn't get real far.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just I agree with Jack that it's not their concern, it's a town thing. So who or where should I send my findings if they come through?
So I would say send them to us,
Okay.
to the forest committee. Ultimately, it's the select board that, you know, that makes decisions. We serve at the pleasure of the select board. And, you know, in terms of the legal process, I'm sure I have a vague picture of, you know, we elect a person to prosecute suits or something at town meeting every year. There's a town officer for that kind of stuff. But you know, that's trying to figure out the arcane details of it. I think that for, you know, just to kind of figure out what we want to do with it, the select board is looking to us to make recommendations for what happens with the forest. You know, we can figure out what we want to have happen, and then the select, you know, take our recommendation to the select board. And I've never seen the select board do anything other than what we recommend.
Just one other piece. If TPL were to find there was an error in it, I'm sure they would let the select board know immediately if there was an error, and there would be correction. If they again determine that there was no error, then the right of way is there. I mean, you always have the right to legally challenge it if you choose to go that route. And then I think the next question is, if it's there, then the town may want to decide how they're going to make use of it, right? If at all. And that's where, you know, Gordon and his committee come in to help the select board decide that issue, as you said.
Yeah. And, you know, just thinking ahead, this is obviously way ahead and way speculative, but what I can see is, if we want to have access to the property for forest management purposes or, you know, recreation or otherwise, to me, it would seem obvious that there's scope for negotiation, that, you know, if we have a right of way, but you would prefer that the right of way routed differently, or, you know, have concerns about how it's used, then we've got time for conversation.
To make things easier on everybody, and this is not to throw my neighbors under the bus, but right now it does this giant jog and it could go straight up and in, which doesn't involve me at all. So anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
I think generally we're open to that, you know, just encourage discussions. So yeah, feel free to come participate. You know, we're not, no decisions are going to be made about your property without you being in that conversation. We're not interested in that.
Thank you.
I think that we really have to pursue this. You know, legally look at that. And it's almost a lesser of two evils. We have a 300 and some odd acre chunk when we got no access to do diddly with it. We can't haul logs, we can't cut firewood, we can't make habitat cuts, we can't do anything without a right of way into that area. I mean, as a town, we bought that property with the idea that we could do something with it. The committee has voted, they're in favor of some logging, whether it be just cull wood or whether it be finished timber or whatever. We need access. If we get in a real big bind, what happens is the town gives us a spot where we can cost landowners without their input at all to access timber, which means they could probably give us a route right up through your land, right up your driveway to go out and harvest timber. I mean, what, we don't want anything to do with forcing shit on people. We want to do it legal. We want the landowners to be happy. And that's what we're after. We've never discussed putting bicycle trails up on that end of the property. That's out of it. We just want access to do our timber management. Like landowners are supposed to do. That was our duties when we took over that land, was to manage it according to the will of the committee in the town. And that's what we're trying to do.
Fortunately, there's a survey firm who's legally entitled to interpret deeds and put boundaries and right of ways on the ground. That's what they go to school for. That's why there's a professional board of regulation that makes sure they meet those standards. They've been hired to do this. If there's questions, those questions should not be going to TPL. They don't have survey licenses. They should be going to Little River Survey. And she can break down the deeds. Anybody can look at a deed, and you can look at those deeds. If you've got questions, you can definitely write those up to people. And if the town feels like they don't agree, then there needs to be another surveyor. Because I'm not qualified to do that. Tom Martin is not qualified to do that. The select board isn't qualified to do that. That's a licensed survey's job. And that's what we paid for. And that's why they went out and staked that out on the ground. Now, moving that line because of some, issue with topography or buildings built within the right of way, that makes sense. Where that house is built within the town's right of way, it seems like it would benefit everybody. That landowner, your view shed to move the right of way.
Yeah.
But that would have to be a separate discussion. But Lisa has laid that right of way out. I had a pretty good conversation and replotted it, and her flags are up there. It's been moved to, accommodate a big cliff where the original one went below the A-frame. It was just the topography was prohibitive.
So do her flags go through the rock wall that I was talking about?
Do they go through the rock wall?
Once it gets up onto my property, it does a sharp, you and I.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It does a sharp left and follows the boundaries of both Berlin's and my property. And at the corner of my property and Scott Berlin's, there's a rock wall there.
Yeah. So it was moved. It's been recently moved.
The rock wall?
Nope, the right of way.
Okay.
So it used to be below the A-frame, and that's why you're seeing this. That you're not seeing a break in the right of in that stone wall. It's because they moved it to break that slope. It was just way too steep to get up in.
Anyone know when it was moved?
It's I'm sure it's cited on Little River's map, and she told me the surveyor. I just forget. I think it was Sunwise Jeanette of Cabot, but I could be mistaken. But it would be cited right on that survey. Surveyors will go through and they cite all their work, where their mates and bounds come, where all the calls come. So there's really no question. If it's, like an acquiesced boundary, so like a boundary that just has been used and then becomes enshrined in time, that they'll state that in their notes. So, we should study that document because the work's been done.
Does it make sense for me to send what I just showed to you to her?
Definitely. I would definitely engage her. Most certainly. Yeah. Yeah. That's her professional integrity. Yeah. She wants, and by law, she has to maintain her field notes. and maintain her research files. So that's all the deed chains. Grantee, grantor, and then all the splits off that. So you can trace back, through this convoluted network of, conveyances, how it got into your parcel.
Okay. So you've talked with her since you and I met?
No, not since we
Oh.
met. Yeah, I think it was prior. I was just curious about the layout, and then, because I replotted it off her map, and then before I went out, I figured, yeah, I should talk to the surveyor. And she said, well, I flagged some flags up in there. You should probably be able to find it. And sure enough, right on the layout are her orange flags going up through the woods. And then I had questions about it being moved, because I knew that it had been moved. And she said, yeah, the abutters and the Bourne family, they decided to move it because it was in everybody's best interest. And she said, in fact, where it is now, the grade is much more accommodating, and it is. It's just kind of goes in between a ledge gut and then slopes back and really cuts that rise down over a much longer run.
The Bournes bought the property with the cabin, which is what this provides access to. I know it's all
Okay,
one big plot after I bought my property.
sure.
So if they moved the right of way,
Okay, well, maybe it was then it would have had to been the grantees of the cabin property, and then the Bourne.
I looked at that property
Yeah,
after I bought mine, and I didn't see a right of way to it. It was landlocked.
sure. Yeah, well, that
That's
doesn't
why the
exist in
Bournes
this state.
were so excited to get there.
Uh-huh,
Anyway,
yeah.
trust me, we can go around and around on this all day.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, I go right to little river.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a great lady, very smart, and she's got answers.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if the question, I mean, ultimately it's legal. Question is there a right of way or isn't? I mean, I think I'm gonna assume that there is one, but I'm gonna assume also that we have a copy before we use it and use it the way that keeps things that makes best sense for things on. Thinking your interests hard. Oh, okay, well, that's, sounds like we dispense with the right of way topic. At least for now. Let's see, looking at other things, there's,
He's a. If
I'd like to actually adjust the agenda a little bit, so Luke, if you're amenable to it. We've got clean water project update as kind of later down in the agenda, but I'd like to just jump to it right now. Any news to share about that?
About what, Gordon?
About the clean water project,
Clean water project. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I know as much as you guys. Besides, it's crunch time. Resources are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. So it sounds like if we are going to engage them and get assistance, then they want to make sure we're not going to back out. Yeah,
So
because
balls in our court, do we need to take some action with that?
I believe so. Yeah, we need to tell them. So we need to decide. One, do we want to engage them? So that's Rick and Silas, and there's only 3 of them in the state, so they're very valuable. Their time is very valuable. And then 2, if we do engage them, what areas are we willing to set aside for 3 years and not touch? Because that's the deal.
Not touched or love. I mean,
That's correct. Yeah, not touch or, yeah. So I would say probably logging.
Mhm.
Yeah, the rec component, we haven't asked that question. So we should ask that question.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, right now, what areas are we willing to put aside for a few years and just leave it? And part of that is allowing those soils to revegetate and stabilize, especially in the forest where you've got, limited, germination of ground loving plants that hold things together. It takes a while. Below the main traverse cuts, there's like 2 or 3 main traverse cuts. There's a bunch of trails that just drop down right over slope. And a lot of those have, morphed into streams, and they're far, far from being at repose. So they're continually eroding. They're a little ambiguous and what they are, but you follow them and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, I'm in an old skid road, or, oh, wow, there's the old stream channel. So the scope of their work would be to go and, control those old roads, these, streams, and what the issue is. Are they head cuts? Are they streams that are out of their, banks? Are they culverts that are plugged or undersized or inappropriately placed to begin with? And then they come up with a solution. And to my understanding, it's they hire contractors, or it's either we wouldn't see money. They would deal with the money. Somebody would be hired to come and reclamate those issues. And then we would just have to leave it be. And from my opinion, on the steep slopes, well, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Somebody's going to fix them because it's an issue. You can walk up there anytime it's raining, and you see those head cuts, moving up the streams, bringing all that soil down. Yeah, moving down the roads, which are like streams. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, what you say is everything I've seen up there aligns exactly with what you said. There's a number of places where, obviously I don't have the training that you and the folks you're talking about have, but I can see where the erosion is happening, and it's a steep slope, and so when I look at it and think about making a decision, what we've discussed here is we would like to open up that area for recreation. We like having recreation on the north facing slopes that are already noisy from the road, and as well as readily accessible. And we'd like to do something with that, but water quality is a even higher priority, and so remediation before we do anything else makes the most sense. So that's remediation, water quality, that's recreation. The other consideration is logging, like forest management stuff, and forest health, emerald ash borer considerations. We want to go in and try and do a harvest in those areas for ash. And again, this is an amateur opinion, subject to I could change my opinion with new information or expert advice. But I do see that steep face of the Bourne parcel, it's got some ash trees on it, but I think it's more important to fix water quality issues, because it's just if it's erosion, it's dumping dirt right down into the Lamoille River. There's just not a lot of other places for it to go. And water quality was one of the top priorities of the people who gave us guidance for us, as well as just generally being an important ecological thing to do. If it means we have to delay plans for forest management or recreation, we should fix the quality issues first, and wait a year, wait 3 years if we need to for the other stuff. That's the way I think about it. Any other thoughts? Or
I mean, I agree with you completely. I think the one thing that when we did the walk in the woods, one of the things that came up was the desire to remove those ash trees. Is that something like that we would be willing to wait 3 to 4 years to do?
It's a big deal.
Or is that something we move? I mean, because to get them out, right, there has to be some other groundwork done to create a point of access, so that they can do any kind of meaningful work in that section. So I mean, it does seem like we're going to have to make a decision one way or another. We either pursue this funding quickly, because we just don't know what will be there next year. Like the way things are
Yeah.
Going these days, you never know what's gonna be next. But I do think that, I just don't really know if there's a 3 to 4 year swing on that. As we were talking about in the area.
Yeah, the emerald ash borer. Yeah, it's here and it's a big deal. You know, when you have those really tall crowns, it's a big deal.
Let's
They
say
become a
that
hazard.
you mentioned before, yeah.
Yeah, and then you lose your ability to have silvicultural justification behind either the removal or just the chop and drop of those trees. And the ash is here, or the emerald ash borer is here. And so right now, we're in the 2 to 3 year window. And probably 2, because once those tops are dead, you can't have people cutting.
I
That's
remember,
just deadly.
sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, just go for it.
I do remember from the walk that this all came up as we were walking through it, but I don't recall their appetite or the latitude they have in, say, allowing for that work to be continued simultaneously as they're doing their water quality work. And I don't know if that's something that's common or not. I don't know if that's something that they encourage.
Yeah, well,
it might be a good question for them.
We could definitely combine this federal funds with other funding sources.
Okay.
Whether it be Slow Camp, which is the one that goes to management contractors to reclaim those main slab roads that we walked, and then use this funding through the EPA cleanup mandates for the runs that are coming downslope, a little more problematic. We wouldn't want to use those for anything anyway. It just, yeah. So more use that funding, the federal funding, for closeout operations. Closeout meaning we just close those trails and they integrate them back into the landscape. Yeah. Yeah.
And the concern I have is there's a lot of, it seems like there's a lot of options. Even just evaluating all the options and making a decision about what to do takes it doesn't take a lot of resources, but it takes a fair amount of elapsed time for us to get this committee on board with something, and then we'll take it to the select board and get stuff, get their stamp of approval and go ahead. And so I do think we need to keep it simple.
Yeah, so to keep it simple, the reality of it is we really don't have we don't have access for forest management to carry on this legacy of stewardship that we've been entrusted with. We can't do that. We don't have the access. We don't have the landing. What we can do, we can get an excavator up there and close out stuff through CRIP. So let's do it. But we can't make a call on the access. I mean, we've got the right of way on one end. We have, this trailhead, which is not going to be, work very good for landing infrastructure, and then the rail trail. So, we don't have that management infrastructure on this parcel.
Yeah.
Right now. It'd be nice. So yeah, that's going to take some time, but we could get a little excavator up there to close out stuff like that. So we might as well, before Silas and Rick move on to other projects.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a motion to proceed, full speed ahead with, what do we call this program, with Silas and Rick?
There's an acronym. Is CRIP? Is CRIP the acronym?
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's CRIP. CRISP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quiz.
Yes, that sounds.
In his email, he has it called Quisp. CW.
Okay, CRISP.
Clean water service provider.
Super. Okay, CRISP. So we use CRISP funding for all the roads cutting slope or running down slope. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to pull out the culverts. We got to, because they're just impounding flow right now. Yeah.
Okay. So we want to go ahead with that. The scope of this work, will we get any further input on what they do and don't do at this point? Or if we say, yes, go for it, we kind of turn it over to them? I think we should definitely be setting boundaries on exactly what area we're agreeing to not do forest management work on.
Yeah, so the first step is to inventory. So there's going to be a database created using a mapping protocol.
Mhm.
And then we're going to triage based on funding. And I guarantee our input where that funding is to be allocated.
Okay.
So say, we've got some low priority, high priority, and then we'll have, input on, okay, do we really want to put this to bed for 3 years and stay off it? And then once we make that call, then they're going to go ahead and get contractors in there to do the work. Yeah.
Okay. So I would advocate 100%. Let's go ahead and get the inventory done. Let's get this project started in that way.
Yeah.
And let's get to that decision point of what work we can get done. Let's get to that as quickly as possible. But do we have a motion to?
So let me try it, see if I can, so a motion to proceed with executing a formal inventory of the resources with the purpose of securing WISP funding to engage the watershed forestry program to, from their email, facilitate the installation of water bars that avert surface flow, regrade and shape trail sections with active erosion, and stabilize stream crossings.
Close out. A lot of it's going to be closed out. It just close out. Boom. Yeah, eliminate.
I like trail
Yeah.
closeouts too.
Yeah.
I was just using I will wordsmith this all later, but I'm just gonna jump it in as a clues right now. So reading it back one more time, motion to proceed with executing a formal inventory. Purpose of securing WISP funding to engage the watershed forestry program to proceed with the scope of work as outlined, including installation of water bars that avert surface flow, regrading, shaping trail sections with active erosion, stabilizing stream crossing, and closing out inactive or undesirable trails. Okay.
I'm actually checking to see if the meeting chair can make a motion.
Well, I will make that motion if you can.
Are we just talking about the area around Westover from?
I think once we execute the inventory,
The Bourne parcel is accessible across the Westovers. Basically, so consider the north facing slope of the Bourne parcel as it comes down into the river.
Yeah, Gordon. So there's some other locations that would be high priority. So up the road where we cross the bridge, what do we call that parcel?
So the western
Westover.
Western Bedell.
Okay, Western Bedell. Yeah. So where the stream bisects Bedell, there's some hot spots that really should be dealt with. And if there's boots on the ground, it's one big contiguous parcel. I would like to include that area.
And then there's also the Gates Farm.
And there's Gates Farm Road. Well, that's a town road. So that would be off. To my understanding, that's a commission town road still.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
So
a trail, one or the other.
yeah, so if it's not a trail, then we get through the Better Roads Initiative. That's like a town select board thing. But if it was thrown up, totally thrown up, which would make sense in this situation because it would be absorbed by the town, then we could receive reclamation funding. to, to reclimate it.
I know a number of years ago, they refused to throw it out. I know that because the people up on the top requested it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. They have a long way to go.
So it gives a town actually an access into the top of the land up there, which has some value,
Yep.
which probably is equal in value to fixing up those water barriers at the top and then forgetting about it, but whatever.
That'd be, yeah, that's an easy road to fix.
I would think, Dave, that as part of the formal inventory process, the most important areas will be steps, right?
Yeah, we probably want to do
We can check that out, definitely.
Because
They might have some ideas.
if there's funding available, we might as well, implement
If it's an
it.
issue of whether the town. Even though it's inside the town forest, maybe.
Maybe things have changed, but I've been around and around for years on Eagles Ledge and Killer Road. And it all came back to, nope, these are still on the books. We know they're eroding in horrible shape, but no, they have to be totally thrown up. No trail status, totally thrown up.
Okay.
Nobody would touch them.
So we can include it in the inventory, or at least have them take a look and make recommendations, and then, based on the recommendations, we can see what steps come next. Okay, so to me, that seems fine. I mean, the inventory is the inventory. I don't see us doing logging operations across the bridge on the Bedell parcel and going up and down. I don't, I don't foresee logging operations in there, but even if there were, the question of whether we would go through the specific areas remediated. And this, I suppose, so there's two questions. One, we already mentioned about, does the 3 years apply to recreational usage as well as, forest management? Is one. The other is, how big, if they do water quality remediation work, how big of an area of an exclusion zone are we talking for forest management work? Is it the whole parcel? Is it a subset of the parcel?
It would just be the road.
Yeah, okay.
Or just whatever practice was implemented.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. And the logic of the 3 years is to let the ground cover.
So it stabilizes, takes a while,
Okay.
revegetates. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So,
That area needs an intermediate thinning, by the way. Around that field, that's all even age, highly overstocked, that's Clipsy Osseo in those bowls. And the best way you'll see internodal weeping. And the best way to mitigate that is through bringing your basal area down. That composition of pine and spruce is unnatural. That's a product of human manipulation. So right now the stocking is extremely thick, just like like an apple tree that's never been pruned, and then it starts to get lichen all over it, and that lichen secretes acid and kills the tree. Same idea up there. So it needs to get some desiccation and some airflow. So it does need some stewardship.
Hmm.
Yeah. If we choose to do stewardship or not, that's a different question. But from a silvicultural perspective, it needs it. Yeah.
Cool. All right. I understand. We have the motion on the floor, yeah? To proceed. So, any other discussion? So the motion is proceeding with, this work to get to the inventory?
This is a program that Rick Dyer has his foot in.
Yes.
It's more through the conservation districts.
Okay.
But there's a methodology that's followed that Rick Dyer is privy to. So that's why it's actually Silas, his colleague, is the one that's knows about it. But I guess the trick is getting people that know the methodology, the language that the feds talk when ranking these projects. It's this whole way of documenting it in the field. But yeah, Rick's going to be involved, I believe.
If you recall very clearly, it said that it was a picture perfect project for this type of building. So,
He said it's the best, the best bang for phosphorus reduction you can get. Just per dollar amount. I couldn't quite understand how that really broke down into dollar amount, well, how much phosphorus we get
it was
per
really
dollar,
something,
but
so
it's,
not even,
yeah, but it's like, this is the best deal. So the feds are gonna love it. Well, okay, yeah.
So let's close that discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. I see Max raising his hand as well. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Cool. And also, by the way, according to the experts on Robert's Rule of Order, the chair can make motions in a small committee. So make motions and participate in discussion.
who's gonna, do you wanna follow up with Silas, or do you want me to do it, or do you want Luke to do it?
If one of you guys can do it, who's
I'll do it because I've got to work with them anyway.
Thanks, Luke. And I'll just CC me, and if they want any clarification from the administration side.
okay. All right. So that's a clean water project update and decision to move forward. Next thing is trails and call it trails and recreation. So we had a big party and took a bunch of people out riding on the trails and walking on the trails and stuff. I've heard great things about the walk. Several people came up to me and said they learned a lot of good stuff. So thank you for jumping in. I took a bunch of people out on bikes and a good handful, 5 or 6, rode with me on every trail that's out there, every bike trail, which gets to be about 5 miles. We had about half as many when we finished as when we started. Lost a few people along the way, but so that was good. You guys have any other comments or things you want to share about the trails?
Yeah, just for the record, I just want to say thank you for everyone, helped bring the party together. Because
I've talked to a few people on the trail and everybody seems really happy. I
They
like it.
want a map and they want more signs. That's pretty much my summary. And one of the things that I did follow up on, I'm a little bit off script here, was the gate. I tried to get it.
Okay.
I tried a couple times to follow up with Round Hill Fence Company. And then a receptionist there, sweet as pie. And she always refers me to Jesse, who's the owner of the company, and I leave a message and he never gets back to me. So I left no less than 3 messages with him over the course of 4 weeks. And I'm not trying to be annoying, but it does seem like either he's too busy or, so if you've got another fence company that you want me to chase down, or that you have a good recommendation for, I think I'll expand the search a little bit at this point, because I think we want to get a new gate in there. I just want someone who will even come down and want to give us a quote. So, if not, I'll just go to Google, but if you guys know any.
Yeah. Hawk Creek, Middlebury fence. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any recommendations, but
The trail signs are beautiful. I like that. Good job. We're failing because we don't have maps out yet.
yeah,
I mean, it's gotta be a priority. I've got that one too, but it's gotta be posted, it's gotta be made in a smaller size so we can, it's gotta be made in a handout, whatever. It's gotta be on the computer.
so a little update on that.
Yeah, I was wondering where that ended up. Seemed like it landed in a weird limbo.
Yeah, so Brooke never got back to me with the trail, so I threw this thing together. And this is the first time I've seen it printed out. It looks better on screen than on paper, but it's still not nothing. But Kay Warner responded to me just a one-off to say that she didn't cite any particular sources, but said you need a better map than that, essentially, and offered to make it. So that was a couple of days ago, and she offered. I accepted her offer. She said she was on it, and that was 2 days ago.
Good.
The samples she shared with me had like, the topo map lines and, nice legends and, yeah, proper good stuff. And something about restrictions, I think she probably wants to make sure that it says things like, no dogs off leash and stuff like that. So that is in the stewardship plan that we approved, those kinds of things. So I'm waiting to see her draft. Meanwhile, if somebody asks, this is here and I think I think it's fine to share the link to this map. It's, if you give somebody the link, it's on our Google Drive. You can give them a publicly accessible link and people can get to it and see what the trail names are and see how they flow and how they intersect. That's what I have to say about it. Does that address your concerns? What do you want to say?
Is there a map down at the parking lot?
No,
No, there's a big blank board at the parking lot.
Okay. Okay.
I have a plaque that TPO gave me about 4x12 that needs to go on the kiosk.
I'm really waiting, not that it's my call per se, but in my own mind, I was waiting for the map to see how much real estate it was gonna take on the sign.
Yeah,
Because I feel like that's really the most important piece that people are asking for. And we can always add the signage around it, fill up the space, like, and make it look good. But I do think that, and even more so than just the handout maps with all the rules on it and everything, it's like just the map. It's like really, because people just take pictures of it, and you don't even have to worry about the paper of it at all.
Yeah.
And of course, the rules, restrictions, things like that, the acknowledgements need to go up.
yep.
At the very least, those things, right? And then I brought it up a couple times and it just kind of got lost in the sauce. Signs kind of like at the beginning of the trails that lead to the school property so that we can detail, they're not really restrictions, but like use preferences of avoiding school hours and everything. But I think it really all comes back down to getting those maps up. And if there's any intersections that are still lacking trail signs, to make sure that those get labeled. Because I don't think, last time I looked, not every post that they sank in the ground had a sign on it. That's been a couple weeks now.
Mhm.
I don't know if they came back and did a round two at any point.
No.
So I'm just trying to figure out like what, if Sinuosity owes us any deliverables or not at this point. I mean, I just don't know if there's clearance around.
They, technically, they were on the hook for 2 kiosks with signage to be developed in conjunction with, interested parties or something like that. So they're supposed to do it.
Well, they'll be out of the woods in a couple of weeks, so maybe they'll be easier to track down this printer
Yeah.
at that time. But
I mean, my intention was to try and go up to Spark and, blow this up and make it and laminate something so that at least we get at something there. Spark isn't open on the weekends and I'm not gonna get up during the work week, so.
something in the instance of nothing, I'm all for it.
So what's that? Is that in a PDF?
It's like a JPEG or something. There's a few more copies of it out on the table.
Okay, so there's shape files for the trails? Is that those shape file layers?
No, it's a, it's like a step up from Paint.
Okay,
So the basis of it is a GPX. I recorded my bike ride.
okay,
And then I took a screenshot of the bike ride laid out on top of an aerial photo, and then I took the paintbrush, on the screen and marked it up.
okay,
So,
cool.
Castle and
Gordon, the LCPC has a large format printer.
LCPC, Lamar County Planning Commission.
Yep, I'm sure they'd be happy to print a map for us.
Cool. Good call.
Also, Monash has a large printer as well that they've put all of our posters out at.
So, you know, maybe, I'm not gonna be able to do it tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do it next week during business hours. I would say almost certainly not. So the file is on our, Google Drive, Town Forest Google Drive. If anybody else can, take the charge to get this printed and, you know, whatever, 24 by 24, whatever, you know. I guess 22 by 22, right? Or whatever format it works. I would love to see it happen.
Yeah, it might be worth just like asking Kate, like if you are gonna do it, what do you think we can expect it by?
Yeah, that I will do.
Okay.
And
If
I'll send that email
You're
tonight.
bang it up in the next 48 hours, quick hurry, right?
Yeah,
But if it's gonna take her 2 to 3 weeks, that's a long time.
yeah, let's see. It'd be nice to have something there this weekend, but,
I agree.
you know. I mean, even what if he's stuck up with the thumbtack?
until we get the
Yeah,
map.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it certainly will give people an idea where to go.
Right.
But the towns are home.
Are they color coded in the field?
No,
no,
Is there, no?
we just plain wood signs
Okay,
with the names cut into them.
okay.
That's another thing, like, it's probably worth like getting an inventory of additional signs from Sinuosity that meet the spec of the existing signs. You know, because they have a very particular style to it, using specific materials, specific font. So it's
Yeah.
like, if they're not gonna do it, we should probably get the.
Brooke told me who did it, and he said it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about $30 a sign.
Oh, that's not too bad. Oh,
No, I thought it was, I did think it was kind of steep. And Maxfield, you said you could, there's the laser cutter at the school. The wood came from PNR, I think. So, you know, I mean, $30 is not, it's not crazy. We could,
You're welcome to more glitches. You gotta step up from glitches.
You know, I spent a lot of time doing signs this.
I bet you
So if I get all that on the sides, I
The wood is really nice.
reflected on my tree.
Nice to have.
And then I walk every single one of them into the woods,
Oh, man.
8 at a time.
Oof.
And hammered them in, you know, so I think I've reached my sign quota for 2025.
and hence your statement that $30 is a reasonable price.
Yeah, you got materials, they have to be printed, they also have to be treated, right? So it's.
Yeah.
That takes time.
There's a couple of things. There's the little bonus trail off of Float Tank. That's you know, it's definitely a downhill bike trail, and there should be a warning sign at the bottom.
Oh, and the road crossing sign, I gotta follow. I spoke with Dylan. It's Dylan at the town, the road department there. He basically said that he wants us to do it because they're too busy to do it. So I think I'm just gonna see if I can get the same trail signs that they've used in other places around town. I'm thinking over by the covered bridge, for instance. There's like a standard readily available sign. It's just a matter of figuring out what it's gonna cost and getting it approved. And then just going out there with the sledgehammers and the socket, putting them up. I think that's it. That's all we can do. Yeah, I don't know what the specific spec for the sign is, but just taking a tape measure to where the other signs are and just matching it from.
I mean, there might be, I don't know who in state government would be responsible for signage. Like somebody's putting up signs for the rail trail.
So that's somebody's hat. Definitely somebody's hat.
Yeah,
But it doesn't strike me as like a very large cats,
Oof,
just,
public safety, man. It's a big deal.
They just put up 5 new signs up on East Hill Road between, my house and the Whipple farm.
Yeah,
So
there's a bunch of new signs on East Hill. That was probably Dylan and the road crew, right? I mean, that wouldn't have been the state, I don't think.
I think it's in their purview. I think they just have their work
They
for the
just
rest of the season already mapped out.
Yeah.
So the hint, the tone from his email is that they're already behind. And that they're not really looking for additional work in the season. I thought that was, I could read the email to you, but that's basically what it sounds like.
Okay.
But I guess we could press the select board against them and kind of make them put it up, but.
Yeah, no. Okay. We talked about, we're talking about trail map, kiosk, additional signage. So what do we need to do coming out of this? In my view, there's this trail, there's a couple of things. So there's trails like Rhoda's Ramble that are not built for bikes. And I've called it out on this map, and then the match tape will be the same. Personally, I think we should make fewer rules rather than more. I would want to try and say, no bikes, and then have to enforce it and have all the bad feeling and stuff. The trails they're not great for bikes. There's going to be people who probably try to ride bikes on them. And people who are good at it will, maybe find them challenging and interesting, but I think most people will stay off of them. But I do think it might make sense to have just little things I've seen. They're like little 4x4 squares that have, picture of a bike and a hiker, and you put both of them or only one of them on a trail. So that kind of thing would be good. I do think that especially the outfield of what I call deep dive, that extra little jog off of Blood Tank, would be really good for people not to go walking up that trail. Because bikers are going to come, if there's bikers on it, they're going to be coming down fast. So I think it might be a good idea to set aside a little bit of budget to make some new signs, or and maybe we can engage Sinuosity to see if they'll do it, and if not, then buy a few things and go out and tack them up. So, I see nodding heads. So I'll make the motion that we allocate $200 for safety signs, trail use signs being small signs for bike and hiking, and am I volunteering to do this? And call for volunteers to help obtain and post the signs.
And there should also be some kind of information down at the kiosk at the parking lot, which says that these are recommendations for walking versus bike or whatever.
I'm willing to take on the chapter 2 of the sign project. I just need a little breather after the party. So to be quite honest, the last month leading up to the party, there's a lot of pieces that come together.
Yeah.
And then doing the interview took like a whole day. And, it was like, so I'm caught up in terms of rebalancing my life, and kids are good at school now, so I could probably take this time, put a pretty solid pitch on it. I think I'll just get up there and just walk and see which signposts are naked.
Yeah.
I'll use your map in the interim and just be like, are all the prominent crossroads marked as to which trail we're going, which direction? But I think just taking an inventory of what signs would be helpful to keep people oriented is the priority. in terms of like closing up that phase of the project.
Yeah.
Once we have at least the names posted, having what purpose for the trails, it seems like check the next chapter. Because that links to the map, that links to the kiosks. Right now, I just think like the most basic directional, like where the hell are my signs need to be done. You know, and everything else is just nuance and development and enhancing the participant experience, you know. So it's, I do feel like it could be done in a couple of different phases.
Okay.
Yeah. So but I do think the focus is getting those missing signs. Okay, and then building the entry kiosk.
Motion, make a motion that we authorize, you know, Roger to spend up to $200 on, any kind of signage, trail map signage and other signage as you deem necessary, as described, and come back to us for more if you find that you need more.
I think that will be a good start.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion?
What about the trail crossing signs on the town roads? Are those available? Where are those available from?
We would have, apparently Dylan says that he would prefer if we take care of it.
But where do we get them?
I don't know. We'd have to ask.
V-Trans.
V-Trans. I don't have a price for them yet. But yeah, I think just one facing each direction. Yeah, I have all of that stuff in various notes. I'll just kind of assume that it's all in this project.
Okay.
So if anyone else wants to jump on signs with me, just let me know.
If we have to buy those full-size signs from V-Trans, $200 is probably not enough.
I think getting a real number before we really start spending, I think it just like break it all down side by side. Because, you know, we might, I'm gonna try to be as clear as I can, we'll probably end up overthinking it. You know, so there might be a moment where we need to just trim it back a little bit. Or if we don't feel like it's enough, but I think having a real number before we authorize it is helpful.
Okay.
You know, more transparent that way.
Yeah.
Roger, I'm happy to do, try some prototypes in the Glow Forge here. You know, they would look like the signs that are up there, like fancy wood, you know, machine wood burned things. So if you have a template or something you send me, I can try to give you a mock-up.
Thanks, Maxwell. I assume that was a standing offer. I know you'd offered it in the past. I just never really got there. But yeah, you'll probably be one of the first people that I reach out to in the next week or so.
And I can help putting the signs up.
So
Any excuse I can use to get people out in the park.
I'm gonna call the vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Cool. There's another thing I want to talk about, which is on the agenda is consider plans for a new trail in the bottom of Wolcott to the intersection of Gates Farm Road and Float Tank. If you haven't seen the map, let's see. I could join Zoom, but let's do this.
It's in the folder too.
Okay. Basically, it would be from here to there, comes across here.
Okay.
I can generate that on this file for, you know, so that you can take it to, is it Vorak? You know, you and the other easement holders. BHCV, right. The reason for it primarily is because the bike trail, float tank is designed for bikes to move fast on, and it's also a lot of up and down. You know, if you're walking, it's you know, good bit to climb and a good bit to climb down. And it takes you a little bit out of the way if you're trying to get out to the field, you know, the bridge in the field. And so I think making a more direct route for walkers that takes them off the bike trail and it's just more direct. Makes sense. The ground out there, I mean, I know we're in a drought, but it crosses a bit of it crosses the drainage. There's a place where like, the well for, Leander and Rhoda's house, kind of comes down and, there's a little bit of water underneath there, but it actually kind of collects in one spot. And the ground there's a lot of rocks on the ground. Like it's kind of a rock ball. And it can be, yeah, and there's a pretty good slope that you'd be going across. So, it's, I think, a really low impact area. There's the map that Kate put together that shows the location of, rare plants and stuff. There aren't any of them in that space. And, it's, I think routing a trail through there and getting volunteers to work on it and stuff. It's a sensible spot to do that kind of thing. So, I think it's a good thing to do. I want to propose that we do it and that we, try and do it with volunteer labor. And the first step to doing it is getting you a plan with a map and getting a sign off from, Northern Rivers Land Trust and BHCB.
Do you want Jack to do this for you?
I have a copy.
Yeah, and I can send you one that's actually got the markup. I'll put the markup on it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly where you're talking about, Gordon, but I do believe that's where our only map deer yard is. And
He was showing.
yeah, they don't, it's hard to tell down there. All right, so I walked in here. This is, oh, sorry. But yeah, like right on the bottom, when I went in this winter, it was all, deer beds and it's mapped. But maybe not up, where you want to do yours.
Again, or just like we were sitting here, down
Yep,
somewhere.
yeah,
else here.
exactly.
It was Lucas saying a lot of deer habitat.
Well, it's our map deer yard. So our state biologists have designated this as a map deer yard. And there's requirements of that. 70% canopy cover, mixed wood composition, and then a juxtaposition to the hardwood browns. And then slope drainage, things like that. And then it has to be functioning by virtue of size. So it meets those requirements and it's being used. Yeah. And it was one of the original.
So we already, so if that's down here, that's up down here, and there's already a trail through it.
Yeah, well, we already went through it. I mean, I can't even cut wood without getting authorization from the Public Service Board to alter a deer yard, but that's, so now this trail here connecting to that.
Yep.
Yeah, it might be. It's something that we should pull like that later.
Luke, do you have maps showing the outline of that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, just go on, anybody can go on A&R Atlas.
Yep.
And just
Yep.
click the fish and wildlife layer and it'll
be
propagate.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
So committee members, what do you think about, adding this trail into the mix?
Will it lead people to actually go down some roads on her property?
I don't think,
You don't think
I
so?
don't think so.
Okay.
Is
Is there any danger on some of the existing trails that people would go down the roads that lead to her house?
I don't think you would end up at her house.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
It's possible that you would end up on their property on the lower trail that, kind of comes out, on the south side of the wet zone. There's that swale that's got some rare plants in it. It's a wetland space that's, south of our entry point.
But doesn't that new trail cross what she used to call the logging road, the road that they put in to access logging up?
Yeah, the blue trail comes right down that logging road.
Okay.
And then right where, just a little bit uphill from the corner of the property. It intersects Gates Farm Road, but the blue truck, heads off to the south across the slope and avoids their property. So this would, this is almost in sight with the place where I'm thinking of is almost inside the property line. Like, the property line is pretty clearly marked.
It is, but I don't think people on a bicycle or going for a walk would actually know it, even if they cross the property. There's all kinds of old property lines up there.
Yeah, this trail would not cross the property line. It would not, it wouldn't dump people out in a place that would make them any more likely to cross property than they already are. So, any other thoughts? You guys think it's a good idea to add this trail into the mix? Do you think it's a bad idea?
Want to go over there and just take a, can't really picture it.
I think it would be nice to go for a walk, okay?
Yes.
So proposal to arrange time for a walk?
Generally open and neutral to it,
I can't do it this weekend. I'm going to be out of town. But I could do it in like an afternoon next week.
Sure.
Um,
Sometime after 3.
Monday afternoon.
I wouldn't be,
I could do Monday afternoon.
get stuff after.
You can't do it.
Okay.
Would you mind to?
So,
Should we?
my schedule next week is loaded heavily towards the front of the week, so I've got Friday. And then actually Tuesday would work.
Tuesday would work.
There's normally my daughter's drum lesson night, but he's on Sunday. So he won't do
So
it.
Tuesday.
So Tuesday can work. Wednesday
Wednesday I can't go. I can do Thursday, Friday.
I've got school board.
Yeah.
Friday is the rescheduled drum lesson day. So I could do Thursday, I guess, Thursday.
Thursday you could do. Can I do Thursday?
Tuesday or Thursday.
Thursday will be a bit of a challenge for me. I have to be in Montpelier on Thursday, so I'll be coming home from Montpelier. It'd have to be like 5:30 or 6. Which might starting to get dark. Yeah.
The 18th, I'll be in Montpelier all day.
Saturday.
Saturday 18th, I'm locked in because I'm volunteering at an event. That Sunday, that should be free.
Sunday will be hard for me.
But,
Let's, can we, so.
that's it.
Your
schedule's probably.
But, if everybody who can on Monday afternoon and.
Yeah, if I
can
can.
get together. Monday afternoon at.
You know what?
3?
I'll check my calendar, because I could probably, if G's not doing anything, she could take the kids. And then I could probably make it happen. Let me just check my calendar real quick.
So. Okay,
Oh, it's Columbus Day on the 13th.
yeah,
Okay.
I'd say you folks should
So there's
go,
no karate and all that, so I'm free.
I'd say you should observe a deer yard functioning with deer, sitting in their beds, chewing their cud, and just peaceful as can be. Just to know what that is. Before you alter it more. Because, that they get keyed into those locations by their mothers, and then that gets passed on and passed on and passed on. And there's a reason those locations are such. And a lot of those reasons we don't know. It has to do with air drainage where they're on the slope, food, seeps where they can get, aquatic vegetation that's year round available in the deep freeze, there's a lot of reasons for those locations. And there, in the late winter, when their food stores are really low, they don't have a lot of energy. So they'll do just about anything not to move. So you can walk right up on them and observe them. And it's something else. Yeah. It's also where the coyotes go. When your boilerplate on the snow.
Right.
Go into those deer yards, you'll see the coyotes running right over that boilerplate, hitting the deer beds, bam, bam, bam. It's unreal. But anyway, it's really, so to lose that resource for the sake of convenience connecting to is just, in my mind,
So,
doesn't hold salt.
are deer yards 12 months out of the year? Or is it?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so what would be the use?
Mhm.
Yeah, so is it, is it a snowshoe trail? What are you, yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a walking trail for some, in my mind, it's a walking trail for summer use.
Yeah.
I mean, the possibility we might consider possibilities of, ski trails, snowshoe trails, grooming trails, fat bike trails in the winter, but at the same time, just because we have a trail that's used part of the year doesn't mean it has to be groomed in winter.
Sure.
Which is, I'm not arguing that a deer yard or, disturbing wildlife habitat, yeah, it's a potential showstopper for trail building. Um, would certainly consider
That's
that.
something to weigh.
Yeah,
That's something to weigh.
but,
What values are we putting priority on?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at A&R Atlas and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to load deer yard thing, but maybe after the meeting, maybe you can show me or another time. Okay, so we're not gonna take a vote on yes, no on this trail tonight. We'll have forest committee meeting on Monday, well, not official meeting, but committee members outage on Monday at 3. Let's meet at the I guess let's meet at the parking lot.
What time?
3 o'clock, Monday afternoon. I'll be coming back from Montreal, so if there's any reason why I'm gonna be late, Montreal, if it's a text or you'll be the Northern Rivers Land Trust representative. This 3's not gonna work. Is there another day that would work for you? Or
For me, all next week I'm out of the country,
okay,
but Kate's there. I trust you guys. I'm not worried about me.
okay,
I'll take another look. I'll take a look on my own at some point before the next meeting.
cool. Discuss parking options at Bridge and access to the Western Bedell parcel. So I've heard different pieces of feedback from different people. Somebody who drove in and, who looked at the bridge access and said, there's no place to park here. And I've observed, trail building crew parking 3 or 4 vehicles in there. And I'm inclined to think that's a perfectly good place to park, but I just wanted to bring that up it's not obvious to everybody who pulls in as to whether they can park there and where they should park. And I don't know if we want to try and do anything about that or not. Or leave it and let somebody else, see if it's, we could leave it in a watch and wait status. And see if we get any more feedback about it.
So where exactly are you talking about parking? The road that goes down to the bridge?
Yeah.
It's pretty wide there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, that's where I thought parking was intended.
Mhm.
You could get a few cars in there,
Yeah.
obviously.
Is there going to be snow removal in the winter, or are the town guys just going to blow through?
That's a great question. I don't believe the town is likely to want to plow any of it for us. So,
About this parking area here, will they clear that in the winter or?
I guess we have to ask them.
Spelled
I don't know if we can afford it.
He's on his third truck in a year.
Um. Do we want to ask the town about?
I'll ask, Linda, who does
Yeah.
the plowing and. Sure, because the parking lot will be a plowed anyway.
Or people can park at the school. You know, I mean, there's other places to park to access the forest. It would not be good to have people parking on the road. By that parking lot, you know, we definitely don't want that happening, but if people can park at the school and access. That might take care of it.
Maybe check in on school during school hours, is that right?
I think, did someone to price it out?
Yeah,
And I mean, just get some boots on the ground and get a couple prices or a couple of quotes. Just to see like what would we be looking at if. Because it's not something that we would. A lot of people that want to use the trail also want to use it during school hours. We're trying to come up with soft strategies to discourage that, for safety reasons.
yeah,
So I want to double dip in 5 months of the year, it's okay. It's also the 5 months of the year, the school's in session.
yeah,
And so I think anything we can do to kind of direct people to the town lot,
mhm,
we should do.
okay,
Therefore, it should be plowed, really.
Yeah, I think so.
okay, so I guess let's ask if the town will do it, and otherwise we're gonna need a budget for it.
Yeah, the good thing is it's not a large job. So it's like one of those things you can probably bang out super quick.
Yeah,
And it's a pretty flat, the parking lot's really flat, but there's a lot of places to push this.
The trouble with that parking lot, you put a big truck in there plowing, you're gonna make a mess of it.
yeah,
Yeah. It's better than a pickup truck and
There's nothing that says we have to use the town trucks. Find another
find
level.
somebody else.
Like I said,
It's
it's
gonna
a
be-
it's a flat job. It's just a few extra bucks in someone's pocket every time it snows. Gotta find someone with capacity that wants to do it. Does there ask?
Yeah.
Get some prices.
Yeah. Okay.
I wasn't thinking of it at all, so brand new.
Okay, so we should probably. Would we have to put it out for bid, as a town project?
I think they would.
Yeah,
I think, Belinda basically said like small things are only a couple $100. Doesn't really need to go out to bid.
But
But I mean, for a whole season,
it's gonna be,
and I don't know if it's really the norm around here to do like a flat contract fee for a whole season. That would be, that's gambling right there. That's
No.
casino gambling.
no, everybody I know. It charges by the
I
snowflake.
don't blame them. But yeah, I think just planning on, if we can get an idea of what the price would be per plow, we can make an educated guess on maybe slightly above average year in terms of snowfall, so we can budget it correctly. And then, something that I kind of got caught, it wasn't a big deal, but I wasn't expecting it mid-season, was to pull the, heavier equipment in to knock the snowbanks down.
Yep.
There's probably going to be part of that picture too. So, yeah.
Are you planning on keeping the trails groomed in the winter, or is it just gonna be no show and
At this point, I'd say just snowshoeing. I'm not entertaining the option unless somebody else comes forward with the idea and wants to do it, but um, you know. I mean, we could, yeah, if we get it plowed this year and see how much traffic there is, uh, we can make a decision next year. And I guess I'm on board with the idea of ensuring that it gets plowed this year, keeping the people out of the school parking lot. And I'm guessing that we're only gonna get more and more traffic as years go by, but we'll see if people come and ski and snowshoe all winter and it's a popular place, that'll tell us something.
And if we find that it keeps tearing the hell out of the parking lot, then maybe we'll have to get paved someday, I don't know. But I don't think we're at that point anymore close to.
It seems to me that someday there should be a road at the top of Schoolhouse Drive that turns and goes back onto the Bedell property. And then have a parking lot out there.
An exclusive parking lot.
I think it would clear a whole lot of bills. Would make the school board happier. It would get people up on the hill rather than having to start at the bottom and come all the way up.
But on the way forward.
And it might even give us a fog landing up on top somewhere. Right now there's nothing. The Habitat for Humanity's property ate up all our access to that property from down below.
Yeah.
And it's not like you want to run a skidder from the parking lot up that road in the wintertime. So, I mean.
Okay.
And as far as
It feels like a big project and I'm not against it, but I want to see some walking trails on the Bourne parcel first. That's gonna be my priority. But like I say, I won't stand in the way if somebody else wants to drive it ahead.
as far as parking down at the bridge, if we put in a gate system so you can't randomly drive a car across there and put a sign up at the top on the edge of the road, people would park there. But I hate to put a sign up and say it's open and let people drive up into those fields, because that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that.
So I think it's a either or.
I think roadside parking is the option of the moment. It's the only one that really is afforded to us there, so.
Isn't there a little overgrown shelf? Right to the north of the bridge? When you drive down on that radial turn, there's kind of like a shelf in there looks like there's some debris in there. But it looks like that's an old staging spot for something.
I mean, there was a house.
There was a
there,
house
but it was
on top.
Okay, so that's what's in it. It's probably rubble. Okay.
Wasn't there concerned about the wood turtle habitat?
But someone had made that comment. That's what Sinuosity had said, right? And that's why they chose not to put the second parking area in.
Okay.
But essentially you're way up on top of the brook.
Yeah, but wood turtles can be found, a mile away from where they end up in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the beauty of them. They travel, but if it's an old rubble spot,
Yeah.
an old building, let's make use of it. No wood turtles going in there.
Do they hibernate
In the streams.
in the stream?
Yeah.
They do.
Well, it's not true hibernation. That's where they hang out in the winter.
Okay.
Hope we get more water farming.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of sightings of wood turtles this year. Bizarre. Yeah, and Wolcott. It's been like a 10-year lapse.
But the more or less floodplain that where we're not allowed to go into, isn't that the prime wood turtle habitat
Yeah.
down below the fields?
Yeah, they'll come up into those fields. I mean,
Even if it's dry like this drought season.
And I'm not a wood turtle expert, but I know Kylie Briggs, who is the wood turtle expert for Vermont, and he tracks all of these animals and will find them far away from streams in farm fields, cornfields where they've been mangled and still alive. You know, he's repaired shells where they've been partially crushed, and yeah, they get around a lot more than you think.
So I only brush off like they asked me last year after, October.
Yes.
And I've never hit one. I can tell you that.
That was his advice, was to not brush hog within 1,000 feet of that stream until October. By then, they're headed back down to the water.
So,
Yeah, I had a conversation with Andrea Shortsleeve about the wood turtles in there, and that was on the, it's just the priority area that they had designated, that there've been sightings and some work done on that stretch. Yeah, it's mapped as prime habitat, but it wouldn't be the shelf. It would be that old field shelf on the non-road side before you get to the ledges. Yeah.
okay, so not right there around, not the old house site.
I wouldn't think the old house site, if I mean, that would be like reclamation, we're improving things, getting rid of the hazard. And that's probably why it's left the way it is, in kind of this scrub. But you can see the morphology of the ground, it's flat. I've always wondered what was in there, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's probably an old foundation with a bunch of junky timbers in there and shingles and, all the stuff that goes along with old houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember when the house went down. It was there when I was a kid. It was there when I was in school. So sometime when I was in college or Colorado is when it came down.
Was it burnt? Did it burn or it just fell?
Yeah, I have no idea. It was old back in the day. My recollection of it was sagging at press.
Well, that might be an easy parking spot then. Yep.
That'd be awesome if it truly is. That pretty much covers all that's important things that I see on the agenda.
Before you move away from trails, just a question. Did Sinuosity provide any advice to the committee, or have you all discussed trail maintenance in the future for all, you've got beautiful trails here, and obviously they're going to need maintenance at points in the future. Otherwise, you start ending up with erosion problems.
Yeah, we haven't had Sinuosity has not given us specific instruction on, how to maintain the trails. I think that there's a standing offer to do that. Although, I think we'd want to, as I'm thinking it through, it's like we'd want to have the occasion to do maintenance activity.
Yeah.
Also, though, I think that, the way they're built is designed to minimize the amount of erosion.
Right.
So that's right.
The reason I bring it up is when we were out walking the trails with Isaac Bissell from BHCB, he, was asking us about, is there a maintenance plan or an understanding of what level of maintenance all of these trails might take? And he noted that the Stowe Land Trust owns a lot of property in Stowe with a lot of these types of trails on them. And he said they're so heavily used down there that they literally have a contract with some company that comes in every single year and has to whatever, replenish
Mhm.
some of these trails. And he thought maybe you all wanted to know about that. You might want to contact Stowe Land Trust. There's apparently multiple groups. There's one contract that multiple groups have come in with this company to do all of the work on all of the trails. And it might be something that you all might eventually want to get in with. I don't know any more than what I've just told you.
Okay,
But it might be something that you want to pursue at some
Yeah.
point.
that's a good thought. I mean, the things that I've observed on the Stowe trails is usage-based wear,
Yeah,
much more so than erosion.
yes,
Um,
yes.
And
Yeah. Yes.
I think that would be a good problem to have.
Yeah, right.
I don't think, I think we might be a few years away from needing to be concerned about it.
I think it's more short term. I think brush hogging the trails to keep them open and leaf blowing has been more of what we've been talking about recently.
Yeah.
I don't have an update yet, but since I'll be out and about all throughout next week doing the rest of this stuff, I'm sure I'll meet with Isaac and Joe. Just to talk about brush hogging the trails to keep them open, no other mowing or.
What about blowdowns? How are we gonna deal with that?
I think maybe we just use the QR code at the kiosk to report blowdowns. Like if people are using the trail.
Right.
I think we just post a general information QR code that people can use it. They just give them like a short form to fill out, like which trail it's on. You know, is it blocking the entire trail or, you know, partial obstruction, something along those lines. I think that's probably the best thing early on, and then just.
The QR code is, gives you a mail to,
Yeah, probably mail it to, I'll probably mail it to you, and then
yeah,
we reach out to our volunteer list and see if anyone wants to go with the chainsaw,
that makes sense.
you know, with the assumption of risk form.
Yeah.
Can the
Right.
QR code go to like a Google form that we all have access to the results? And then if somebody decides to take on the remediation, they can check a box so we don't have duplicative efforts?
I think we should assign it to an who takes responsibility for managing it. If we just leave it as open, you could, you know, I don't know, I just feel like it would be more efficient to run it through someone who's kind of like the champion of keeping the trails clear. And they can work with whatever group they feel they need to get it done. But if we don't assign it to someone as a responsibility, it could just lie idle, you know? That's my opinion anyway.
I think, you know, rather than a Google form, if it goes to if it comes to our core group mailing list, it could go to one person and then, you know, we can forward it out to the mailing list or we can designate a person. I'm thinking, you know, I mean, basically, I think there's a pretty good chance we're gonna need to do some trail work in the spring to clear some blowdowns. As in, you know, I mean, if it's just some branches, you get off the bike and move the branch, right? If there's a tree that's completely blown down, you know, you get off the bike or walk over it and report it, and eventually we get out there with the chainsaw and clear it. So I think, you know, I think it's going to be something that we just have to get some volunteers to do in the springtime.
In terms of the trail maintenance, I think our trails are more akin to the Hardwick Trail system, as opposed to Stowe, which is pretty much all volunteer maintained. And every spring, you know, all Hazen students have a graduation requirement of community service hours. And every spring I take my group of students out onto the Hardwick trails and we just rake leaves and clear blowdowns. And I don't know if, you know, Wolcott Elementary, you know, they are younger. I don't know if it's quite up their alley, but I could certainly put it out there to the Hazen community, because they do hop on buses and they travel around the general area to seek out community service projects. We could certainly add that to the list of projects that need some hands donated.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah. I mean, and you know what, until the ed redistricting conference is done, we're still part of OSSU. So it's a short ride from Hazen and part of the same school district.
Good idea.
Yeah, I think, I think trail maintenance in the spring when it's, when the snow's, melting off would be an important thing to talk about that. But, in terms of like the contractor to fix up the berms, I think, expect we're a few years away from needing that. Anything else we don't want to talk about? Hearing nothing, let's, adjourn. Oh, did you have something?
We should get a tell you about this operation Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, the dispatcher in Morse or Hyde Park is going to put out the word that there's an injured person on the bike trails. He's going to give coordinates. They can pick up the coordinates from a cell phone. And Wolcott, Hardwick, Elmore, and Walden fire departments are going to respond.
Okay.
They're going to go to the parking lot. And the good old boys and their toys, they're going to take 3 side-by-sides up the main trail that goes from the parking lot up above the school access, up to where the big pine tree is, where the trails split.
Yeah.
They're going to turn left. They're going to bypass the bridge. They're going to take the next right that doesn't follow a trail. It's an old logging road that goes up next to the drainage on your right, going up. And they're going to go up that logging road to the top, and they're going to rescue some injured bikers, and they're going to bring them back down. So this was this was a learning curve for the fire department, who serves as a rescue organization in town for any accident that's off road. So this has been planned. I can't meet them down at the parking lot to kind of make sure that they kind of have a little orientation of our trail system and where we wish they wouldn't go, or which, because you turn these young kids loose with their side-by-sides, and somebody should be there to just give them just a moment's talk at the bottom before they head out. Because my son Jim has been up there and scoped it all out, figured out what they could do, and he's going to try to keep them under control, but I can go get if that's going to happen.
Oh, boy. So I'm going to call it the map that shows where the, sensitive areas and rare plants are. And I think I have a pretty good picture of what you're talking about.
You know that trail that goes from up above the school, and when it goes on the east side of the property, it goes way up around up on top, it kind of follows the boundary line.
Mm-hmm.
The
bike trail?
That's where the site's going to be, up on top there.
Yeah.
But they're not going up the trail, they're going up there's an existing logging road that goes up through there. Goes right to the site.
Goes right to it.
Yeah.
There's this doesn't even show all of where that trail goes, but so in the wet areas adjacent to that trail, there are some of the rare species. And wetland protection zone. Basically right near the bridge, there's rare species at the bottom, saying at the bottom, yeah. Take a look at the project, but. So our parking area is here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking, they're gonna come up right here, up to the top of the hill, the right central. Space is right here, so, yeah, yep. And then, so big squeeze, is, kind of this. So this is the part that, this is the one site that I'm concerned about. That's, yeah. And. Yeah, like this is where the shooting is. Yeah. That's not good. So, yeah, and then so big squeeze is all of it. This is.
Yes.
You know. I mean. The things throw back, right? I think the main thing would be for them to just, try to be careful. It's, this isn't a life safety issue, so there's a practice.
There's a logging road up there, Dave. And they're gonna be staying.
If you go right to the top of that road, all the way up to the top.
Yeah.
The main trail takes a sharp right.
Yeah. Right.
There's another trail that takes a left.
Yeah.
And it goes across a bridge at Senior Rossville.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then after that bridge, on your right, there's an existing logging road that goes straight up.
Okay.
The brook itself, as you're walking up that logging road, it's down on your right. It's in a little valley. And it stays in the spruces, straight up, and turns to the, it goes south straight up and it turns to the east out towards the boundary, which I think Monash owns that chunk out there. That's what I'm hearing.
They're gonna stick to this logging road?
Yes.
Okay. So what?
They said they were not gonna go across the bridge.
Okay.
There was a spot where they could just go across there. There's no water in the stream, it's just town. They're taking up some of these, a man basket with a wheel system on the bottom, and that's what they're gonna use.
Okay.
Well, this is not. The aerial photos not detailed enough to get there, but the bridge is right around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing, is this the stream right down through here?
Probably.
I think the logging road goes right up here and it turns back into here.
Yeah.
It branches off, will go up and then turns to go.
This is, well, so it comes up here. The bike trail switchbacks back and forth, and the logging road goes kind of straight up here. Or like there's the other one that goes across here and has a couple of bridges in it. Like,
I'm pretty sure that the logging road comes up here and goes in.
Oh, okay. Well, so you and Jim have walked it?
Yeah.
They're gonna be okay with the four-wheel, the four-wheelers are.
Yeah, right now, dry as it is, hurt anything.
That's good.
It's Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. The town's essentially okay to,
To be recent. So all right, the old one.
one way or another, if people are gonna get hurt up there eventually. The potential is there anyway.
Yes, the thought counts for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to do. And town forest is a fine place to do it.
I gave,
Good use of
I
public
gave
property.
my son a big lecture about turning them loose up there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are they
I mean.
EMTs? Are they all EMTs or first responders or?
Pretty much firemen,
Just, yeah.
fire departments, volunteers. A lot of them have the medical stuff, a lot of them don't. It's like Stowe Rescue, it's like, this is our kind of Stowe Rescue, that's what we've got right now.
Are they going up? I mean, you have a route, so the route's already planned out, so you're not gonna need to chainsaw or anything.
No.
Okay.
It's all been cleared. It has not been cleared. There's nothing to clear. Walk this week, so.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that's the approach. I figured that's the question.
I mean, they picked that particular spot because it was accessible without.
And it's probably the most challenging trail. So if there is, it's just likely to be injury, it's a good one to train.
Then any other would be closer to the road than that one, so. That's good. Okay, cool.
Thanks for the information. Dave, you think, I know the firefighters are busy, generally speaking, but is there any interest on doing like a post-op with us after they run their exercise? Do they have any concerns about their own access to that part of the park?
I think Jim would come in next month at the meeting and talk to you about it.
That'd be great. Probably wouldn't take long, but if there's like,
You could show up here.
but if there's something that comes up in terms of like, something that could make their job easier, at least getting it in the queue so it can be considered, I think would, we would welcome that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, who knows which way the wind would blow on the subject, but I'd love to hear their perspective on it, on the exercise, and if there were any barriers that they thought we should consider when we do our design work in the future.
Cool. All right, well, what else do we need to talk about? Anything?
6 packs. Now, but 20 beers in
All right. So meeting adjourned.
We're not keeping them.
Which is, there's plenty of other topics. Yeah, fantastic.